Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jacqueline, and today in this video we are going to make a pumpkin block like this. This is a large pumpkin block. It finishes at 12 inches. Yes, 12 inches finish. And in this video I'm going to show you how I make this here block using my die system. I cut the fabric out using the Accuquilt cutting system, and in this video I'm going to show you how I use the Accuquilt die system to cut this block. So let's put that over there. Right here is, I'm not sure if you can see this. This is my studio die. Yes, this here is the Accuquilt Studio die cutter, and this cuts 10 layers of fabric through one pass, and it's pretty heavy. Okay, there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this here die system, and it says Accuquilt right here. So we're going to cut out this pumpkin block right here. We're going to cut all these pieces out using the die system, and we're going to cut out 10 pumpkins through one pass. Let's get started. So you let the legs down here. This is really heavy. This is a I believe this is considered a commercial cutting machine because it's really heavy. It's meant to stay put, and it's a handle system right here. So I'm gonna scoot it down a little bit, and I'm gonna get my die right here. This is really heavy, and so first let me show you what this is in case you don't know what that is. So let's just move this out the way for a second, and this is the die. And let me take the fabric off because I am going to show you what this looks like. This is a die that I had custom made. You can have dies custom made through Accuquilt. It's called Custom Shape Pro, and you can send in your measurements and they will custom make a die for you. So this here, this is just a tray. This tray goes with the cutting system. You need this tray to put the die in. Now this here die, and you probably can't see the shapes. This is a studio die. Studio dies are really heavy. See, really thick, and they're heavy. And this is a die I had custom made. And what I did was I sent in all the measurements. I know you can't see them. I sent in the measurements, and I sent in the pumpkin, then the side pieces, then the stem, and then these side pieces, and then the corners. So this pumpkin has 5 pieces, and so I rolled up the measurements, and I sent them to, I went online, I filled out the form, and I sent the measurements to Custom Shape Pro, and which is part of Accuquilt, and then they would do a drawing, and then they would send that back to you through email, and then you check to make sure all the measurements are correct, and then if they are, you go ahead and approve it, and then you pay with a credit card, and then they'll make your die, and it usually takes about a week or 2 to get your die. Now this die, like I said, this is a die for my studio cutter. It's really, really thick, and it's heavy, and also it's called Bob block on board. All the shapes on this die, I can make this whole entire block. I can make this whole block from this board. All the shapes are on this board, and I will show you the shapes in a minute. Here's the shape. You got the 4 corners, you got the 2 sides, and you got these sides, and then you got the stem. All these shapes are on this board. And I'm going to turn this board around so you can see the shapes, because you probably can't see them on camera. But, so, right here is the shapes. Come closer. To my right, it's the pumpkin, and it has the corners already cut off. And then we have the sides and the stem, and then the corners. And they're all on this one board. And these are very expensive. This board was like $300 to have this made. So anyhow, so this is what I call my pumpkin die. And it's gonna make this. Okay, so with the studio dies, you have to have a tray. And this is a tray I got from Accuquilt. Well, I purchased from Accuquilt. I think this tray was like $100. Accuquilt is very expensive. And this here is a custom made die that I had made, and this is $300, so they're spendy. So anyhow, you want to put this here into the tray, and you want to put it over to one side. Okay, and you can cut up to 10 layers. So here's my fabric. I already rough cut my fabric. There's 10 layers here. 10 layers. And this is all cotton. There's 10 layers of fabric. About 10 inches. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to cut our shape. So we're going to put this on the board like this. And the shapes are on the board sideways. And that has something to do with the cutting. And so you want to put your fabrics on your board sideways like this to cover that shape. Because this shape here it's sideways. You don't want to put your fabric like this even on the board. You want it to be facing the shape. You want it to match up with the shape. And you want to make sure you have enough fabric to cover the shape, which I do. I have enough fabric to cut out the shapes. So these 10 pieces are going to cut out 10 pumpkins. I mean, it's amazing, guys. Now here is our side pieces and then our corners. And so I only have 8 layers of this. And so we're going to cut 8 layers. Then I have to add 2 more layers. But this is only 8 layers. So let's put this on here. 8 layers. And that covers, and I'm using a whole piece like this. It's just folded in half. So I'm going to use this whole thing, since our sides are going to be the same print. Instead of cutting this out and covering the shapes, I'm just going to use this whole thing because we're going to have a little bit of waste, but not much. So since the shapes are all the same fabric, same color, I'm just going to lay this whole piece of fabric over the shapes, covering the shapes up. Here's the lines, covering up the shapes. And then we have this piece, which is our stem, and I've cut my stems out, rough cut, they're not even. And then we're going to put that over here, and this is 10. So we have 10, 10, and I have 8 of this. So I have to cut out, add 2 more. Okay, so let's get our cutter. Push this to the side. This is really heavy. Okay. This is the cutter, studio cutter. This is more for commercial use, more for like quilt shops to use. But I use it I'm gonna put it over here. It is heavy, real heavy. And you have legs put down, and then this side, and it's hanging off my table. So let's go back. We want to be on a flat surface. All right, so we got these legs down, and then we're gonna take our this here, sit it on here. Ooh, that's heavy. And then we have to cover it with a cutting plastic. Cutting plastic. What did I do with it? I think this is it. Okay, so this here, this is you have to have one of these to lay over your die. This is a new one. This is also a brand new die I just got a couple of days ago. Oh, there's something stuck on it. Okay. I just got this die like 2 days ago. So this is my first time using this die. And this is they call this the plastic cutting cover. This, you have to have one of these to cut. It covers up the fabric. I'm trying to hold this because this die is heavy. Steel dies are real heavy. Okay, so we got that covered up. And then we want to line it up. And here is the magic. Let's bring you guys down. You can see the magic. All right. It's going to come out at this end here. This is down. All right. I'm so excited. This is my first time using this die and this plastic sheet. So, ready? Here we go. Turn the handle. And you have to give it a little push. A little push. Okay. Oh, it's moving the table. Oops. All right. This is really heavy. Okay. Okay. When they're new, it's hard to get started. Okay. Once I've used this a few times, then it's a lot easier to go through. Okay. And we're going to cut in the maximum layers. 10 layers is the most you can put on here. All right. Oh my goodness. How heavy we go. Ah. Awesome. Look at that. Now I'm going to hold it over here because I don't want it to fall on the floor. Because my cutter is on the edge of my table. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ah, let me move the cutting machine and then we will uncover that together. This folds, okay? So let's move this. Oh, that's heavy. Ooh, I'm excited. It cut 10 layers. This is what it's looking like. Okay, now I'm gonna rub. So sometimes the fabric pieces will stick to the plastic and we don't want that. We want them to stay on the board so they look pretty. All right. See, can I slide this off without moving? Oh, yes. All right. Slide it off. Oh, see? Now see the cuts in my plastic now? You're going to get a lot of cuts in your plastic, and that's normal. I don't know if you can see it on camera. There's a lot of cuts in this. See all the cuts? Right, sit that there. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Let's uncover the stem first. Stem. Okay, so we're going to take off the scraps. Here's our waist. Little waist. And there are our stems. Now we're going to put our hand on top of this because I want the pieces to stay on the board so it looks pretty. Let me lift this up. Oh my God. Now, see this? I'm going to keep this here part here. But the other waist, very little waist. And if I cut this out smaller, we would have had even less waist than this. But I'm going to keep this here piece. So I'm going to cut that off. So we're going to keep that. So let's cut that off. Cut that off. Okay, so I am going to keep this. And then this is our waist. And this could have been less waist, but I chose to just use the yardage instead of cutting it down. So, but I'm not going to keep this. Okay? Wow, that is so pretty. God, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm ready to get rid of these threads. Now, let's unveil the pumpkins. Here's our scraps. Again, here's our scraps. I could have made these smaller, and there would have been even less waste, but that's okay. Throw that in the trash. Now, here are my pumpkin. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. It cut all of that. It cut 10. We just cut 10 pumpkins, 10 of these. We've just cut 10 of these in one pass. No rotary cutter. All cut 10 all at once. Look at that, all at once. Now, here are my pumpkins. Look at that, guys. Look at that. 10 pumpkins. Look at that. And all my fabrics are different colors. Look at that. 10. Now, it doesn't look like a pumpkin yet, but it will. Look at that. Look at that. 10 pumpkins. One pass. Here's my stems. 10 stems. 10 stems. I ordered an overhead tripod so I'll be able to shoot from top, and so you'll be able to see things better. And then here are the corners. The corners, no dog ears, the trim. It trims, no dog ears to cut off. And there's 4 of these. There's 4 sets. And we got 10, no, we only did 8. So we got 8, 8, 8, and 8. We're short by 2. And then here are the sides. Look at that. And then here are our other sides. Perfect 2-inch strips. Look at that. Now I'm going to put this on a, let me get a design board. All right. And we're going to sew a block. Here's a design board. It's just batting on top of some foam board. So, we're going to put these pumpkins right here. And we're going to get our strips, put them right there. And we can stack these on top. And we got the sides. We're going to stack those there. And we got our stem there. Actually go like that. And then we got our corners. And we got our corners. Right there. Those are our corners. So we've got our whole pumpkin cut out. This is the entire pumpkin. And it's all cut out. Less than a minute. Okay, guys. So next I'm going to go to my sewing machine and we're going to make a pumpkin. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Be right back. Okay, I am back with my pumpkin, and now I am at my sewing machine. I am sewing on a Accuquilt industrial sewing machine. It's a straight stitch sewing machine, and so we are going to make a pumpkin together. See all my parts? Yeah, okay. So we're going to make this pumpkin, and we just cut this with the Accuquilt die system, and so we do not need a rotary cutter or a rotary mat or a cutting mat. So let's make one of these together. Let's make an orange one. So we are going to start with a large pumpkin, and then here I have my pieces that I cut, and if you can see, there are no corners. These are cut to exact size, and we're going to need 4 of these. I cut out enough for 10 pumpkins, but we're just going to make 1 for now. Okay, so we're gonna, this goes really fast. This does not take long to make at all. And so now you do have to sew straight because these are pieces are cut to exact size. I am not a perfect sewer. Sometimes my stitches don't line up. I try, but they don't always line up. So, all right. So it looks like it looks straight. So let's go. It looks straight, but sometimes when I look at it, it's not straight. So. And while I'm sewing my corners, I'm also going to go ahead and sew my stem. So instead of cutting my fabric or cutting my thread, I'm just going to keep going and start sewing some of the other parts. 2 of these. These are the side stems, and we need 2 of them. And then we have the stem. We have the stem. So I'm going to sew a stem to one of the sides. And just want to push that up there. And we're going to keep going. Okay. Try to keep it straight. I do back stitch. And so now I'm going to cut my pumpkin. This is just a piece of scrap. And pretty good. Look at that. That is perfect. Look at the back. Looks like I sewed that pretty straight. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We're going to put this up here. We're going to line up our, and these are 2.5 by 2.5 squares, but with the die system, it cuts it to the exact size with no points on the end. And so I do not have to trim anything when I'm all done. When I'm done with this pumpkin, it would be completely done. No trimming or anything. And I back stitch. Let me cut my stem off. And then I see I sewed this in a little too wide. See it better on this side. So my stitching is not always perfect, but you want to be as perfect as you can to get your pieces to come together perfectly, because the pieces are cut perfect, but you also have to be able to sew a 1/4 seam and press with no folds. And we will press at the end when we're all done. So I'm going to try to sew this better. And then cut the pumpkin. And we got 2 of those on. We're going to do another one. We got 4 corners, and the corners is what's going to give that pumpkin the shape. I am new at making videos. This is my 3rd video. I got 2 videos on YouTube already. And this is my third video. I need to come up with a schedule so that I make my videos regularly. So that's her stem. Look, perfect. No trimming. No trimming needed. Look at that. Exact size. So the stem is done. So we'll set that over here. And then we will sew the other stem, sew the other corner onto our pumpkin. Yeah, last one. We got 2 more pieces and this pumpkin is done. I mean, this is quick. If I wasn't making a video and talking, I would have been done by now. But making videos, which is new to me, I'm still trying to get used to this. Okay, try to get this up straight. Okay, trim that off. All right, we got our pumpkin sides on. All 4 sides are on. And this pumpkin is 9.5 by 10.5. And so it's going to go this way, the long way. So I finger press these. And see up here how it doesn't line up? That's because I didn't sew a cord inseam perfect. My sewing was off a little bit, but we'll leave it. And the same with this side is, I'm not a perfect sewer, so, but they'll cut perfect. You just have to sew perfect. Now this one, I did a really good job. This one is perfectly lined up. Yes, this one I did better. See, look at that. See how that lines up? I did this one way better. So you have to be able to sew pretty good. And I did this one pretty good. So this is the long way. And so now we're going to take our stem, lay our stem on here, line it up, make sure these are down, and then we're going to sew our stem on. And we're going to make sure everything lined up. I'm already off, but we'll keep going. Some of the imperfection you can hide in your seam allowance. Okay, see, I didn't get all the way up to the corner, but we'll leave it. And then raise this up. And from this side, it looks good. It looks good. You can't see my imperfection. See how I still don't look like a pumpkin? So the idea, is that you need to be able to sew straight, 1/4 inch, and press with no folds. I finger press and then I go to the iron. I want to make sure there's no folds in there. Because the cutting, we know the cutting is perfect. Now we're going to put our 2 side seams on and we're all done. This pumpkin will be done. I think these are 2 by 12.5. I'm just going to lay these on like this. And then we're going to sew. And you notice, everyone, I have not used a rotary cutter at all. Trying to keep it straight. Trying to shoot for perfection. Or close to it. Without sewing my finger. Alright. One more side and this pocket is done. one more. Okay. Put this on the other end. I mean, this, you can make these pumpkins in a day. I will be putting this in my Etsy shop and also on my website. It's not in there yet, but hopefully by Saturday I will have these in on my Etsy shop. And you can go there and order your kit. I'm not sure how many pumpkins I'm going to put in a kit. I'm not sure if, I know it's going to be an even number. I'm not sure if it's going to be 12, 16, I'm not sure yet. So. This is the one where I didn't sew it the corner very well, but we're hiding the seam allowance. We are done. Pumpkin is done. Finger press. I always finger press before I go to the iron. I don't want any folds. 2 out of 3 in back. My cutting is perfect. My pressing is almost perfect. My sewing isn't perfect, but 2 out of 3 in back. And there we go. Look there. Can you see it? Pumpkin is done. Look at that. All done. All done.